live on your side. First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
And we welcome you into Weather Extra. This day last year, Tonia, I had some video popped up in a Facebook memory. We had snow falling this time last year.
And it's certainly no snow out there today.
No, very gloomy. It's just been just a very yucky day. Basically, nuisance rain out there, light precipitation. And Tonia, you and I were talking about this. Mostly cloudy weather is going to stick around. Just be careful, kind of slippery on those roads.
I know. I'm hoping that the sun really does come out by Sunday because, I mean, we've got a long stretch of this dreary, gloomy weather this week.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about this last night. Take advantage of any sunshine you get this week because it is dominated by cloud cover. Foggy weather overnight. This is why we called a first alert weather day to make sure you are very aware overnight and tomorrow morning. We could have some low visibilities area wide. It's already starting to develop. You take this live look from Red Mountain and you can see that haze just now starting to show up. And this is always a clear indicator to me when I start to see that at this hour that is certainly going to be a foggy night. Check it out from Gardendale at 8 Air Tire. So yeah, give yourself plenty of drive time. Plan for the possibility of some slowdowns tomorrow morning because of foggy weather. I know we've had a lot of mornings like that. The Weather Service has already placed the entire area, and Coleman County will see it too, even though Coleman County is in the Huntsville National Weather Service coverage area, and they haven't issued one, but I promise you, Coleman, we'll see some fog in spots early tomorrow morning. Temperature-wise, in the 50s and 60s there for the currents, and then we'll see the lows tonight down into the 50s. But here's the new data, and you can see there's Coleman and the entire coverage area. Notice the visibility drops below a quarter mile early tomorrow morning. So you heard it right here, first alert for those issues. As far as the rest of the day goes, by 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow, the visibility should start to improve. It doesn't look like quite as a I guess gloomy, misty setup tomorrow afternoon. It will trend a little bit drier, although the clouds will stick around. As far as the next big thing, the next heavy rain, yes, we have more alert days coming up for Friday night and into Saturday, and the reason for that is the possibility of some heavier rainfall. This system that we've been telling you about, another cold front that moves in. Storm Prediction Center has areas back to the west highlighted for risk of severe storms. I think northwest, anywhere northwest of Tuscaloosa to Birmingham to Coleman, we might see a line of storms that moves in here and slows down late Friday night, and as that happens, there could be some gusty winds with some of those. That would be a concern. So don't be surprised if we see one or two stronger storms out of this, mostly north and west. But the big story, because the severity is going to back off as the main upper support moves north. I mean, we will have a little bit of instability. You see the storm fuel that moves in. So when you're talking about the possibility of some storms, that's some heavier rainfall and a system that's slowing down. You put all that together and there's a risk for some heavy rain and localized flooding. So we got to watch it through late Friday night and a Saturday morning for the risk of some heavier pockets of rain. Notice the Weather Prediction Center now, the latest precipitation outlook showing 3 to 4 inches of rain. That does include parts of Coleman, Winston, and Marion County. So those areas to the north especially could see some localized flooding. And that's something we haven't talked about in a while, especially with these ongoing drought conditions that we have across the area. So take the opportunity over the next few days if you are putting up some of the Christmas lights, and hopefully you'll have a chance, if you need to put some outdoor strands up, have a chance for those to dry off after today. But just check around those drainage areas. If you have any drains on the property, make sure they're not full of leaves, as we could have some pockets of heavy rain again coming back Friday night and into Saturday. But we'll talk a lot more about what happens after this. Tonia is coming right back to update us on those currents. Right now, you are watching Weather Extra. Stay with us.
Welcome back in. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Tonia Michele. Take a look at current temperatures. They're still holding on to the 60s for many spots, but 59 in St. Clair County and in Talladega, 66 degrees in Utah right now. We're definitely above average. We'll see more above average temperatures tomorrow, but for this evening, the big story are the clouds and, of course, the dense fog that will likely develop in these overnight hours. We'll drop in the upper 50s for most areas around 9 to 10 o'clock tonight. Still could see some light misty rain showers, so if you have plans this evening, I highly highly recommend having the umbrella or at least a rain jacket. Heading to the bus stop tomorrow, taking your kids to school, whatever, definitely give yourself some extra drive time. There could be some really dense fog around 7 a.m., but hopefully nearing late morning and into the afternoon, visibility should clear up. We might see a little bit of sunshine tomorrow, but I definitely think we'll have a better chance of more overcast and cloudy conditions with highs above average for your Wednesday, upper 60s and even low 70s. We'll talk more about that full 7-day forecast. Matter of fact, the full 10-day forecast later right here on First Alert Weather Extra. But meteorologist Megan Thomas has a look now at some of the average temperatures in January, along with some extremes when it comes to our weather.
If you've stepped outside over the past couple of days, you've noticed that the air fairly mild compared to where we should be for this time of year. Temperatures should be holding in the mid 50s, average high 54. But later this week, as early as tomorrow, we could be touching 70 degrees in communities, one of them being Birmingham. The old record 74 for Wednesday and Thursday, and Friday we could get into the low 70s at 72 with the old record at 77. So let's break them down day by day. Record highs for January 7th look something like this. From 1989, 74 degrees in Birmingham, Tuscaloosa 77, Anniston saw 74 in 08. What a great year that was. And of course, the next day, January 8th, we're looking at 74 degrees for Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Anniston. Those are the old records from 2008 to 2019 and then from 1946. So again, we could be getting close to these numbers as we head into the next several days. By January 9th, Birmingham's old record 77. Again, we're forecasting the low 70s on Friday, close to about 72. So we could give or take a degree, depending on when the rain and the clouds really begin to fill in. That old record from 1949, Tuscaloosa 78, 1965, and Anniston from 1957 saw 75 degrees. Remember, this was the records for Friday when the average high sits right around 54. But what was the warmest day ever recorded in January? For Birmingham, it was 81 on January 10th, 1949. Tuscaloosa saw 83 degrees January 1st of 2022, and Anniston has seen 80 degrees 3 times in our record books. January 1st, 2022, January 25th, 1950, and January 11th, 1949. Now, where I don't think we break the record warmth ever over the next couple of days, temperatures in the 70s this time of year, not real common. We'll have much more coming up through Weather Extra.
Explore the wonders of weather with Weather in the Classroom. Scan the QR code now to help your kids soar to new heights with Soar with 6.
Well, you've probably seen visuals like this over the past several days. I know Saturday morning we had some fog. Sunday morning, if you're watching me on Good Day Alabama weekend, this was Jacksonville State showing that. Just an impressive photo, right, of showing that fog at the surface. So the big question is, what is fog and how common is it for us to see patchy fog across the southeast? Well, dense fog, when the National Weather Service issues those dense fog advisories, is usually for visibility about 1/4 of a mile or less. So that's just what it's focusing on. So notice shaded up in the northwestern portion of the state, including Birmingham and Tuscaloosa, on average we'll get about 10 to 20 days where we'll usually deal with dense fog. Notice East Alabama and in the southern half of the state a little bit more. You get about 20 to 30 days of dense fog days for the year, and then if you go along the Gulf Coast, it's even more than that, about 30 to 40 days. So there's a few elements you need to see fog form. Well, one thing you need is some moisture, of course. You need some clouds to develop, but you also need light winds and temperatures meeting the dew point. So the dew point measures the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. When the air temperature matches that dew point, that's usually when dew begins to form. So one of the most common types of fog for us is radiation fog. So here's the setup of it. Usually when we heat up during the daytime and the sun sets and you got a clear sky, the heat that gets trapped at the surface usually escapes, and that usually allows some cooling to happen. So you get a thin layer of moisture underneath that dry air, and that rising air from the surface passes quickly through that humid layer, and once again it starts to cool off at the surface with warmer air aloft. And so what's going to usually happen is you start seeing air moisture rises. As the moisture rises, you get the water turning into that vapor, and that's when fog usually begins to develop. We'll get that. We'll also notice steam fog. Sometimes you get cold air moving over a body of water that's warmer, and usually the contrast of those temperatures can create some fog. You may notice that a lot, especially if you live near a body of water like a lake or a river. One reason we're talking about it is we're giving you that first alert, of course, for the fog potential as we go into tomorrow morning. This is one model showing reduced visibility that could slow you down, and here's another model showing it. So we can't pinpoint exactly when and where that fog is going to form, but we can see the ingredients matching together for that potential that could slow you down. So make sure you tune in tomorrow morning on Good Day Alabama. Megan and Mickey will have the latest updates on what you may see as you're heading out for that morning drive.
And that is exactly why we have declared a First Alert Weather Day. We want all of you to be safe, weather aware, and informed heading into your Wednesday morning. But now that the holidays are over, the kids are back in school, and we're all back to work. Do you find yourself a little down? Foggy, cloudy weather like we had today certainly doesn't help. But there's a difference between being a little down and a type of depression that actually starts in the fall and gets worse in the winter. Anna Iliopoulos shares signs you or someone you know may be struggling with it.
This is the season of comfort and joy, but not for all. 5% of American adults experience seasonal affective disorder.
It is a type of depression that is triggered by changes in the seasons.
But it's different from just the winter blues. Dr. Jay Fournier, associate professor of psychiatry at The Ohio State University, says it's a form of clinical depression.
It's more intense. It tends to involve more symptoms that stick around for a longer period of time. One of the critical differences with seasonal affective disorder is that it really can affect your daily life, your ability to enjoy life.
People living in the northern regions of the country or areas with frequent cloudy weather, as well as women and younger individuals, are at a higher risk of experiencing seasonal affective disorder. That can manifest in not only feeling sad, but also
we would expect appetite changes. We also often see changes in energy levels. So people with seasonal affective disorder might describe feeling really extreme fatigue, a lack of energy. But it comes along with some other things too. So feelings of hopelessness and worthlessness, difficulty concentrating. It's also common for individuals to experience a real loss of interest in things that they usually would enjoy.
Dr. Fournier says if you're experiencing symptoms for more than 2 weeks, or if the symptoms are impacting your work, school, or relationships, you should seek professional help.
Certainly, if you are starting to have thoughts that life is not worth living, or that you might be better off dead, or starting to have thoughts of hurting yourself, that would be obviously another time to seek help.
Experts suggest eating well, exercising, spending time outside, and staying connected to those closest to you will help ward off seasonal depression. But if that doesn't help, there are many treatments available.
Light therapy actually really can be quite helpful. And of course, there are medications that are effective for seasonal affective disorder as well.
In New York, Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
A winter storm over the Pacific Ocean is bringing snow to some unusual places. This is webcam video from Mauna Loa, the world's largest active volcano. It's one of 5 volcanoes on Hawaii's Big Island. Its peak is more than 11,000 feet high. And in this video from the United States Geological Survey, you can see snow covering the peak. Winter storm warnings remain in effect for the Big Island summits, through midnight. As much as 10 inches of snow has fallen on Hawaii's highest peaks. And California is being pounded by rain, and that's leading to flooding in places that don't normally see it, like the state capitol. Denzen Cortez has the story.
You can't just swim.
What started as an ordinary Sunday, quickly turning into anything but.
Starting to rain harder again.
There was a lot of rain in a very short amount of time. The cell today wasn't as big of cells as we've had over the past couple of decades, but this one was enough that it lifted that heavy piece of wood and floated it away no problem.
Video footage showing Fair Oaks resident Michael Sylvester's wooden bridge lifted up and carried out into their pond, all in part due to the heavy rainfall.
The current was really good, moving fast. I could see, it's spinning, so it's got some turbulence in that water. And I didn't really want to drown, so.
You can see Michael using rope to reel back in the bridge.
Michael, we're not even in the pond yet, but earlier today you were about waist high and we're not even in the pond.
Correct, yeah. I was easily waist high.
The flooding didn't just hit Fair Oaks. Sacramento roadways saw large amounts of standstill water throughout the area.
It's coming down heavily, and don't follow so closely because you can't stop as quick as you normally could.
Driving just through the puddles, splashes everywhere.
Until this water is removed, people coming into this need to slow down, because you don't know what's under this water. You don't know what's causing the clog.
The rain causing several road closures within Sacramento due to flooding.
The Sacramento County Department of Water Resources has had over 60 calls for service for clogged drains, flooded streets. And so we're telling people again, if you see something like this, don't do it yourself. Call 311, let county crews come out, and we'll tackle it.
Well, we have a first alert weather day beginning at 9 o'clock this evening. Already starting to see some fog development out there, though. This is at Woodstock, that Alabama Lightwave camera. And if you check out the sky vision around the state tonight, you'll notice a lot of foggy scenes developing out there. That's going to be a big issue. It's been misty, and model data is telling us, maybe still a little bit of light mist and drizzle with some of this overrunning moisture. It's going to be another soupy night. That really isn't going to change through early tomorrow morning, but out the door, certainly factor in some extra drive time. Temperature-wise, we'll see lows down into the 50s, and then tomorrow during the day, highs in the upper 60s to low 70s during the afternoon. Now, the one change tomorrow, even though it's going to stay mostly cloudy throughout the day, the fog thins out during the mid-morning, but the afternoon won't be quite as gloomy or dreary as today. I think it will be a little bit drier. I mentioned earlier, if you still need to put up some outdoor decorations from the Christmas holiday, just make sure that you may need to let those lights dry out a little bit. I know everything's going to be wet after all this drizzly, rainy weather we've had today. Looking ahead to tomorrow night, rather calm conditions, maybe a little bit of fog again as we go into the early morning hours there on Thursday. But looking ahead, this is what gets my attention right there. You see that swath of heavier rain. This is some of the global data. This is a European model. Look at that, 3 to 5 inches of rain over the next 6 days. A lot of this coming Friday night and Saturday morning based on this model. So that's why we have called another first alert weather day for Friday night and into Saturday. I know there's a lot of talk about, storms with this system, but the way I see it, the main dynamics with this will track north. System slows down. That's a classic setup. What we see here in Alabama is some heavy rain and maybe some morning storms. There still could be some gusty winds areas to the northwest late Friday night and into Saturday. I'm not concerned about a major tornado outbreak or anything like that. It's mostly a lot of rain. Certainly the kind of event that could bring some localized flooding, so stay alert there. The big question, will this get out of here Saturday afternoon? I think some of this rain still going to be with us, even heavier rain possibly into late Saturday. Sunday looks dry, and then you can see into Monday and next week also some drier weather conditions. So if you need a few days, you need to do some painting, some work around the house, some projects, as I mentioned, maybe pack up some of those Christmas lights from the past few days. Again, it's kind of so-so Wednesday through early Friday. There might be a couple of showers in here, again, some foggy starts, but your best chance, because that rain, if you're looking for a 3-day stretch here, wet weather will impact Friday into Saturday. Again, by early next week, you're looking at your next best chance of at least a 2 to 3 day stretch of dry weather beginning Sunday through Tuesday of next week. So here's the 10-day forecast, and tomorrow that icon represents that foggy start to the day tomorrow morning. Again, all the models locked in, as Tonia was talking about earlier, on low visibilities through about 9-10 o'clock. The Weather Service has also issued dense fog advisories, so factor in maybe a little bit of a light shower mist activity early tomorrow morning, a 20% chance of rain. We take it on into Thursday, maybe an isolated shower, still mostly cloudy up to around 70, and then that rain picks up in coverage, especially northwest Friday. Friday night into Saturday, it's a slow go. That rain moves through, and then it's back to colder weather by early next week. Looks like Monday morning lows back to 28. Highs will be in the 40s, but it looks dry Monday through the middle of next week. But what's interesting, Tonia, you and I were talking about late next week, it seems like we're in a pattern now where the big rain systems are moving in Friday and this Saturday. Looks like we could have a repeat next week.
I know, and I'm gonna need this to change. Any other day of the week, don't ruin our Fridays and our Saturdays, right? Let's look at that beyond the 10-day forecast, starting off with our temperature outlook. January 12th through the 16th, above average temperature is expected for most of the United States, but that excludes us here across the southeast. We're around average, where we typically would see our temperatures this time of the year. And I really have been seeing temperatures more seasonable next week. We're talking about highs in the 50s. That's typically where we would be this time of the year. So finally getting out of that above average stretch and that below average stretch. But what about precipitation? Well, we're trending below average in terms of our rainfall through the 12th of the month and closer to the middle of the month, around January the 16th. But just quickly walking you through our rain chances. Wes was mentioning a better chance for rain late next week, Friday into Saturday. But this model showing that we could see a few showers midweek, Thursday, maybe Wednesday, but a better chance for rain heading into your Saturday as another front tries to develop. We'll keep you up to date with that beyond the 10-day forecast right here on Weather Extra. Right now, though, we're back after this break.
All right, Tonia, we really turned on the red lights on the extended forecast today compared to yesterday, right?
Oh, yeah. Dense fog overnight into early Wednesday. A better chance for rain Friday into Saturday. Could see some storms, but our big impact, possibly some localized flooding.
Yeah, that's the thing, and we just want to highlight those times in there. That's when you can expect the greatest impacts. Again, very foggy in the morning, but we'll be watching for that threat of storms there Friday night and into Saturday. So how about some photos? Because today, well, it certainly didn't look like this, right?
No, it did not. Not at all. But this is a gorgeous sunset, Wes.
I know.
You're looking at Diamond Pea Farm in Cottondale. You see cattle grazing at the sun as the sun disappears into the western horizon. Thanks to Tammy Farr for sending that picture into us.
We needed that today. Thank you, Tammy. And how about this cotton candy sky from DeKalb County? What a lovely view. Wes Coffett sharing that. Actually, that was over on my Facebook page, Tonia, and a lot of folks were sharing similar photos there from northeast areas. What a view yesterday. Hopefully tomorrow afternoon, maybe a few breaks in the clouds.
Oh, I sure hope so. I need some sunshine in my life. We'll have more updates tonight at 9 and 10.